This is the Under the Ring Report. Now, here are the masters of armchair booking, John the Flesh Wound and Cousin Tom.
All right, wrestling fans, we are back from probably the most fulfilling weekend of wrestling that we have throughout the whole year. That includes WrestleMania, the G1, NXT TakeOver. Holy cow, Tom, are you still alive?
I think I needed a shot of adrenaline. Straight to the heart, like Nikki Sixx.
I mean, I don't even know where to start. There was so much. And I mean, for once, there was also big news coming out of the Hall of Fame thing going on. So it's mind-rattling how much crap was going on, besides all the small shows that had taken place. But I think kind of we'll give our thoughts on maybe the main shows and, you know, where we think things are going from there. That work for you?
Oh, yeah, that works for me. I mean, there's plenty to cover, that's for sure.
Okay, so I guess we start off and we talk about our takes from NXT TakeOver. What was the main thing that stood out to you from that pay-per-view?
Well, number one, I'm biased because I love the takeovers. I love the NXT product. Mainly, I guess it's because it's shorter. And I you know... You
don't want to spend 22 hours?
Yeah, exactly. But I like that they get to the point. You know, it's to the point, it's concise. Everybody knows who's running things backstage, and it shows in the ring. You know, there's always, very rarely do you catch a bad match on an NXT TakeOver. But my main thing with that is, man, are they loaded with talent. Yeah,
they do know what they're doing. I'll give them that. And you know what? You're more so into NXT than I am. I kind of catch it here and there, but I am really not a big follower. I did just pick up Hulu. So, you know, I've already canceled the network because I only keep it for about 3 months from Rumble until WrestleMania. But maybe with Hulu, they do have the NXT shows on there. I might try and get off my ass and catch up a little. But when it came to Friday night, I was actually busy most of the night, and I actually came in on the perfect time. I came in just in time to see Gargano and Cole. To me,
yeah, you caught a good one.
I'm going to say this, that I've been a fan of Gargano for a while. I mean, him and Ciampa, that has been... I've actually taken time to stop, catch up, and watch all these things, and I was really kind of crushed, you know, that the injuries happened. I'm like, damn, we're not going to get that payoff. But you know what's funny is that this match felt like a big payoff. Even though Cole was not part of the whole thing, it seemed to be more in line of the case of, you know, Ciampa decided to show Gargano the path, and he took a different route and still fulfilled what he needed to do to become champion. And I think I watched, I was blown away. And I think that is hands down to me probably the best NXT championship match I have ever witnessed. And I know there have been a lot. And to finish the match too, with Ciampa coming out and hugging him at the very end, it was cool, but it also left that little twitch of going, what's going to happen when he's healthy? What's going to happen?
Yeah. I'll give you a short story about that NXT TakeOver. So, you know, it started around 6 o'clock Central Time or whatever. So I turned it on, watched the opening match, which was War Raiders and Ricochet and Aleister Black. Watched it. Well, then we had stuff come up, and I had to leave the house for a while. So I just turned the network off, left the house, did a few things, came back like an hour and a half later, fired it right back up from where I left it. So my 12-year-old, you know, he goes to shows with me and stuff, but he's getting to that age where, I know it's not real, and, you know, he's starting to lose a little interest. You know,
I got you.
We all went through it. You know, everybody does. It's just one of those things. You grow and you have different interests and things. But so I said, you know, you're going to watch TakeOver with me. no, I don't know who those guys are. No. I'm going to go in my room and watch YouTube, I'm like, all right, so bail on me, because it's a Friday night and apparently I have nothing to do except watch wrestling, which was fine with me. So I watched most of the pay-per-view pretty much in the living room by myself, me and the dog, just hanging out. My wife's doing other stuff, and I was completely content. So finally, it's getting around 9:30 or so. He's getting ready to go to bed because he's got to get up super early for a band concert in the morning. And so he comes in, and it was the start of Gargano and Cole.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I've got like 2 minutes before I got to get in bed, so I'm just going to sit here for a minute. I'm like, okay. So he sits down in a love seat across the room from me, and I'm watching him. And he's watching, and he's acting like he's indifferent and doesn't care. Well, 2 minutes turned into 25 minutes, and he hadn't moved. And then they started having all the near falls, and then he starts squirming in his seat. I'm like, what's the matter?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought he was going to win. I thought the other guy was going to win. I said, wait a minute. I thought you didn't care. I thought, you were over this. You didn't know who these people are. What? No, we'll talk about this later. And,
yeah.
And that match just sucked him in. He did not move out of his seat for the whole, what that match was 30, 35 minutes?
Yeah.
He did not move. He sat down in that love seat. He stayed there for 30, 35 minutes. The only time he moved was whenever there was a near fall and he thought Gargano was going to win, and then Cole would kick out.
Wow.
And then same way. And when it was finally over, he jumped up and high-fived me because he was so happy Gargano won. He could not have told you who Johnny Gargano was before the match started. But when it was over, he was so happy that he won.
Wow.
He was high-fiving me. He's like, that was awesome. And that right there is what I love about professional wrestling.
Yeah. And you know what? That's what NXT is doing better than anyone else right now.
Oh, I agree 100%. 100%. That's why I'm a sucker for the takeover. If there's a takeover, I drop what I'm doing and I make sure I watch.
And, I need to do a better job of catching up with most of that stuff. But like I said, there's only so much time I have for wrestling. And I mean, there really is. Friday I tried to we did some other things, went out to eat and all that. And I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot that's going on. So at least I caught one. But the rest of my weekend was complete shot. I watched the G1 and then I wasted pretty much all day Sunday watching WrestleMania. So there you go. But I'll tell you what, you haven't really had a chance to watch the G1, and I have. And I'll tell you what, the one thing that I came away with, there's a few things that were whatever, but Ring of Honor to me really came off as Bush League compared to New Japan during this whole event. Every Ring of Honor match.
You're not the only one who has said that. I've heard that from others.
And I felt bad for New Japan because, truthfully, this was a chance for Ring of Honor and New Japan to shine. And last year, Ring of Honor did their big event where they had the most people ever in New Orleans, and that was a phenomenal event. And it had some New Japan people sprinkled in there. But now you can really tell they are hurting by missing the Elite, by missing, SoCal. Those guys were a big part of what they were doing. And some of the guys they brought in to wrestle and take their place aren't quite up to par with what they had before. So you lost
a nucleus of, 8 guys?
Yeah. But you think about it, they brought in some of these lower tier indie guys who are big stars, and some of these guys, they're good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to give them shit, but unfortunately, when you put them against a Naito, a Bushi, Okada, Switchblade, they can't hold a candle. And that's where I feel bad. But I'll tell you what, the big thing to me, the few things that they did right, the Ring of Honor Royal Rumble they did, it was okay. But I'll tell you what, the coolest thing was to have Justin Liger and then number 30 to have the Great Muta come out at Madison Square fucking Garden. The only thing they fucked up was the ending, having Kenny King come out of nowhere and win. Made no fucking sense. But whatever.
I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah, there were a lot of questionable things. Yeah, Ring of Honor had a lot of questionable things going on. I mean, they had a point where Dalton Castle, throughout the last year or so, he was a champion for a while. He was being pushed as a main guy. He fucking lost in 30 seconds. And it's one of those head scratchers. You really don't know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, Dalton Castle is a guy that you've done a lot of work making into a star. So why bury him at that moment when he can? Dalton Castle could be held in the same esteem as some of these New Japan guys. So it was whatever. There were the big matches to me that kind of the match that stole the show had to be the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match, and that was Dragon Lee. He won, beating Bandito and Ishimori. And seriously, if you've not had a chance to watch this match, they're doing
nuts.
They're doing shit that I just sit there and the whole time I'm just going, holy fuck. How, what? Yeah, I mean, it's that good. So that's right up there with me. The IWGP tag team and our Ring of Honor tag team title match was a piece of shit. I feel bad for Guerrillas of Destiny because the match was okay, but for some unknown reason, someone thought it'd be a good idea to have Enzo and Cass interfere in the outside after the match and take away everything that happened. It was a pile of shit, to be quite honest. And I mean, if you get a chance, you got to see Tama Tonga. He goes to freaking work on Ring of Honor, talking about how bad they are and how they effed it up, and it's ugly. How he throws the belts away and says they aren't worth shit. It's amazing. Oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw you posted.
Yeah, but my number 2 match has to be Ibushi and Naito. That match, it's another one of those matches you're just watching, you're going, that's why New Japan is so good. And I hate to say it, I mean, I know I like Marty Scurll, but that triple threat match for the World Championship for Ring of Honor wasn't that good. It really wasn't. Especially when it comes on after the Ibushi and Naito match, and then you end the show with Okada and Jay White.
Yeah, it's hard to be pinned.
And I mean, it became so obvious that Ring of Honor does not have the talent to stack up with what New Japan is doing right now. So that was the whole time I went in, and I'm like, I want to like this. I just kept going, time for a break. Yeah, and that was the sad part about it, because I enjoy what New Japan does. Even without the elite there, I enjoy what they do. But when it's sprinkled in with some of the garbage that Ring of Honor has right now and some of the bookings and stuff that didn't make sense, I really felt that this Madison Square Garden show kind of fell flat. I mean, I'm glad to see Okada back with the title. That needed to happen. But overall, it was kind of a meh show.
Ring of Honor really hasn't had the opportunity for their younger guys to get the work in.
Yeah.
To make up for the guys that left. They're going to be good. I mean, they're good, but they're going to be better.
Well,
but right now it's night and day comparison. With
and I feel bad too, because we all know that place sold out because there was a lot of people thinking that they were going to see Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks and Cody there, and that hurt a lot too. Because you know what? I'm going to tell you right now, if this show goes on sale in January of this year, it doesn't sell out.
No, you're absolutely right.
Because that was obvious. Yeah, those shows that they had earlier this year did not sell out either.
It was a big deal when it was announced they were going to be Madison Square Garden. I mean, that was a huge deal.
Yeah.
And everyone was talking about it, and that's the reason it sold out so quick. And then all the contract stuff came up, and they all bailed and started AEW, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute. Now who's going to be at this show?
Yeah.
It was too late. Everybody bought their tickets already.
Yep, and that's the sad part about it. And I want to see New Japan do well, but I'll tell you what, I don't think the partnership with Ring of Honor will do them any favors. I mean, if they want to be serious, then they're going to have to partner with All Elite. They really do. And I think a lot of people want to see that because Ring of Honor is not bringing anything to the table.
Well, that's unfortunate, but I guess we got to move on to the big granddaddy of them all.
The granddaddy of them all. What the hell did we end up with? 7 or 8 hours? I can't remember how many hours I watched.
7 hours, I believe. I know one funny little story I read afterwards. And they had a photo of all the people outside the stadium waiting for rides.
Mm-hmm.
The transit authority was told by WWE officials that the event would end at 10:30, and it ended up at a half hour after midnight. So they had all their employees to work earlier and didn't have enough coverage, so people didn't get back to some of their hotels till like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Wow.
So a lot of upset people that were, you just spent 7 hours, or probably longer than that, because I'm sure the doors opened, a couple hours prior. You just spent an entire day in the arena, and then you can't get home for 2 to 3 hours. So
yeah, God,
quite the day. My WrestleMania experience was I was gone all day.
Yep, that's right.
I worked, and then after work, I was at home for about a grand total of 5 minutes, and then back on the road again. And so I didn't actually sit down in my house until about 8:30 or 8:45 Sunday night. So I watched, pulled it up on the network and hit watch from beginning, and I kind of sped my way through, and then got updates from you as I was watching. It's like, yeah, you may want to speed through that one. That one kind of sucked.
Well, at least I was able to help you out.
Yeah, I finally finished everything about 12:30, and then I went to bed.
Oh.
So I got 7 hours of wrestling into 4 hours.
Well, at least it was all right. I'll tell you what, though, the biggest take for me, number one, is that WWE really needs to take a serious look at how long the show is. When I start watching at 4 p.m. and I'm not done till 11:30 at night, it's hard to be excited about all the stuff. And I mean, that's the sad part about it. You know what? Every match was really pretty good, but you get to the point where you're just numb and you don't care. That was my first big, that's the big take.
Like me, my son got up the next day and he's like, so what all happened in the matches? So I started telling him. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I forgot. There was this match that took place.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. And, Roman Reigns fought Drew McIntyre. And then, oh yeah, wait, there's another match that I completely forgot. I was pinpointing on the main ones, and I forgot about all the others because there were so many matches.
Yep. The one thing I will say, though, and my biggest take from the show, besides being so long, is that it seemed like WWE decided that it was okay to give the audience what they'd been wanting for quite some time. I mean, if you think about it, we got Seth Rollins to win over Brock Lesnar, which people had been wanting for a long time. We got Kofi to beat Daniels. That was something people wanted for a long time. And we got to see the man win the titles, which everybody wanted. So, I mean, I was happy to see they weren't doing swerves. It wasn't going to be, well, piss on you, we're making Brock Lesnar win, or, you know what I mean? They weren't deliberately just going to say, throw the big finger at the fans and go, we're going to do this instead. They listened for once and gave us what we wanted. So that made it enjoyable.
The old, hey, we're going to make you wait till the Raw after WrestleMania to see this happen.
Yeah, so they gave us what we wanted. They also had a few of those feel-good moments. I thought that Kurt Hawkins and what's his name? Yeah, both of them winning that title. I mean, it made no real sense, to be quite honest, but it was a good feel-good moment. And I was okay with that. That worked out well because those are kind of those moments that you want to see. The Royal Rumbles were a complete waste of time. I don't care.
That's just that's called get them all in.
You know,
Hey, you're on the show.
You know,
going out.
Hulk Hogan, whatever. I really didn't need to see him. Don't really care. You push for that. I felt that AJ Styles and Randy Orton fell flat. I thought it could have been a better match. Maybe it's just me, but I was expecting more from two guys like that.
Yeah. Well, and I know some people were questioning the Rey Mysterio Samoa Joe match because it ended so quickly, but he's hurt. Mysterio was hurt, and that was the best way to do it. Was at least he was able to go out at WrestleMania and help Samoa Joe out. And people complained about Kurt Angle having his retirement match against Baron Corbin. But
he can barely go anyway, so whatever.
Yeah, well, and he just did what most veterans do. He put over the young guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what most veterans that are worth their grain of salt to a company will do, that because they know they're leaving, so they're going to put somebody over, and he's made a history of doing that wherever he's been. I did like seeing, we're going over so much stuff, but there was a lot. I enjoyed seeing the Doctor of Thugonomics come out. I thought that was entertaining. That I'm never have been a Cena fan, but
no.
It was fun. It was enjoyable. It was a lighthearted moment, but it was, it worked. I thought the Miz and Shane McMahon had a pretty good match for what
that
they were
actually
doing.
Turned out to be a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of my whole thoughts on the whole show. The whole overall pay-per-view of WrestleMania was better than I thought it would be. It was long, yes, but I went into it with pretty much about as low as expectations as you could have. This year I was not that excited as I had been in years past.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. I don't know why. It was just one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, it is first week in April. That's WrestleMania. Hey, they're pointing at that sign again. I guess I'll watch. There wasn't anything that really,
No.
I liked the Kofi storyline, and I liked the Becky Lynch storyline, but there wasn't really anything that I was really, really pumped up for.
Yeah, I get you.
Even the Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins match, I was like, oh, okay, let's kick this off, and he's ragdolling Rollins again. All right, I was
the hell with the son of a bitch. No, I know what you mean.
I was just thinking, give me another takeover. That's where I was at that point.
Well, and the other thing too to me was the SmackDown tag titles and the women's tag titles were two matches that seriously did nothing and really didn't even need to be on the show. And I mean, that was my own personal opinion. I just kind of walked away from both of those going, whatever.
Yeah, well, and then I will say after, watching the whole thing, Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre, I'm sure I'm leaving people out. When we get to the main event, the first ever.
Oh, wait a minute. Don't forget. I have to, before you get to that, I have to give props to Triple H and Batista. That actually turned out.
Thank you.
Yeah, that turned out to actually be a pretty good match. And you know what? What a great way for Batista to retire from professional wrestling. I thought that match worked out
way better.
Perfect. Yes, for a guy who hadn't been wrestling in like 6 years, Batista really did a nice job, and it was a perfect way for him to go out, if you ask me.
Well, I'm kind of getting to that part of life where I know when WrestleMania rolls around, okay, Triple H is going to come out and rip his suit off and beat somebody up so he can get a match in. He's going to get a match in. And then Batista came along, and I'm like, here we go again. Last year was Rousey and Angle versus, I thought, oh boy, here we go. And then we're going to get some run in by, Chris Pratt's going to run in and interfere. I was just throwing out ideas of how to tie this into a Marvel movie or some crossover promotion. And I really wasn't looking forward to it. But then the match went on. I'm like, man, that was really good. I'm glad they made it.
They told a really good story, and that's what I have to give them credit for. The other match
pulled the
too.
nose ring out.
Yeah.
Props to that. That was like, hey, you don't see that every day.
And you know what? The other match I give a little props to too was just the Finn Balor and Bobby Lashley, just because it was quick.
Oh, thank God! I don't sit through 45 minutes.
Yeah, but for that, now I'll let you talk about the main event.
Okay. Well, the main event is Ronda Rousey, who just a year prior made her debut at WrestleMania. Charlotte Flair, who has pretty much done just about as much as you can do for women's wrestling since she's come up. And then Becky Lynch, who's been on this tear like we haven't seen in quite some time, as far as how one person can walk into an arena and that whole arena. I mean, I couldn't even imagine. You walk into a place that seats, what they say, 82,000 people?
I think so, yeah.
And everybody, like, you're holding them in the palm. Whatever you do, you're guaranteed a reaction from 82,000 people. That blows my mind. I can't really understand that, but I can see why people like Triple H and even Ric Flair and even Hulk Hogan can't ever step away. Because that's like an adrenaline rush that you couldn't imagine. The thing I took away from that match, I thought it was a good match. I thought the triple threat with Asuka was better.
I think you're right, yeah, because there was too many times that it just botched, didn't seem there, yeah. But that's also the problem. You know what the problem, though, is? That's when you make it a triple threat, why it's a problem. Sometimes that match probably would have been perfect with just Ronda taking on Becky. And I think too many other variables were put in there with Charlotte. And I mean, yes, Charlotte's great, blah, 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 but I think that's why the match didn't go over like it should have.
My thinking is part of the reason it was a triple threat was to protect Ronda. Because, she has only been in it for a year. And granted, yes, she is been to the Olympics and a UFC fighter and everything else, but still, that's your main show.
Mm-hmm.
You're protecting her by having a third person in there, and then you can vary things as it goes. Because you don't know when someone's going to break their hand in the ring, and then what do you do? So I understand that part, but the part that I noticed, the match was good. The crowd reaction wasn't, because everybody was done. It was 7 hours that you could just see it on their faces. Like, they wanted to cheer, they wanted to yell, but they were done. Even the
you know what?
People
Here's the thing, and this is the thing too, is I remember telling you, as soon as the Finn Balor match was over, I'm like, dude, I'm going to get off. I'm going upstairs and going to bed. And I did. I literally got in bed. I turned the match on and just half-heartedly listened, because unfortunately I had to get up early in the morning and go to work. So I saw it, but you know what? I wasn't as invested in it as I was earlier in the night. And that goes back to too much wrestling.
Yeah. And like I said, I enjoyed the match. I was happy she won. I liked the finish. I know some people complain about the finish. It's professional wrestling. There's always going to be controversy. How many Royal Rumbles have we had where someone might have touched the ground, or they both landed at the same time, or whatever bullcrap they want to come up with? That's what keeps you coming back for more. So I'm not worried about how it finished. But you're right. It's, an 8-hour program, pre-show and everything else, is too much. But
I agree. Yeah,
I love my WrestleMania weekend, so I won't bash it too much.
Oh, bullshit! You just enjoy it too much. But it's still, it's still a big thing. But hey, what are you gonna do? We had fun. We watched a lot of wrestling. We'll be able to chill out here for a little bit. I think I've got no wrestling for like the next week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I'll head over to ACW.
We need to, you need to, I was going to say, you need to promote that. That's
I will talk all about that. That'll be on the 27th in Oshkosh, and get a chance to see Mick Foley and all those guys out there. So we'll talk more about that once I see it. And we'll end the show with something that I had so much fun doing to you last time. I'm enjoying giving you trivia and watching you squirm.
Dude.
It's fun.
Yeah, it makes me look like a fool. It's great.
All right, you ready? I'm going to make it easy, though. You talk so much of how you love NXT, okay?
Oh, now you know what's going to happen. I'm not going to get anything right.
All right. Who was the first NXT Women's Champion?
The first NXT
The
Women's
very
Champion?
first.
Oh, God. You know, when I say NXT, I'm talking strictly takeovers, right?
Oh, come on.
Let's see. I'm going to go with I'm gonna guess Charlotte Flair.
Paige here.
Okay, well, Paige was my next one, but I wasn't sure.
All right. So, this wrestler had a massively successful debut at NXT TakeOver Dallas, defeating Sami Zayn, who is the king of strong style.
Oh, that was Shinsuke Nakamura.
There you go. Sasha Banks challenged NXT champion Bayley to a rematch at NXT TakeOver Respect for the NXT Women's Championship. What type of match did the two compete in?
Oh, was that 2 out of 3 falls?
The Iron Woman match.
Oh, Iron Woman match. Okay, I watched it, but Lord,
It's all
that
right.
was
The
takeovers ago.
all right. The first NXT superstar to become the first to win both the NXT Championship and then win the WWE Heavyweight Championship.
The first?
The first superstar to do that.
Was that Finn Balor?
He burned it down.
Oh, Seth Rollins. I told you I'm gonna burn this trivia crap down.
At the NXT TakeOver The End, what team became the first 2-time NXT Tag Team Champions?
DIY.
No flips, just fists.
Oh, the Revival. Yeah.
What superstar defeated Bayley at NXT TakeOver to win the NXT Women's Championship? And she held it for a very long time.
Oh, Asuka.
The first NXT TakeOver special to be held outside of Full Sails was held in what city? This will be easy. They just held another one there.
Brooklyn.
All right. You don't know much. You're not very good at trivia. Yeah, it's okay.
No, I suck at trivia.
It's just fun to mess with you.
I say next time we're gonna flip the script. I'm gonna give you the trivia.
Well, then you be ready and you just surprise me with trivia, and I'll try my best to answer you because it's funnier than hell just to sit there and watch you squirm. Oh,
well, that's
I know.
what I'm doing,
Shit, what is it? Damn it!
the problem is like the women's one. The first name that popped in my head was Paige, and then I start second guessing. Oh, now wait a minute. Wait. So and so was there before that. Was that right? And then I said Charlotte Flair, and then my first guess was right. So,
You're like, damn it.
yeah.
All right. Well, that will do it for this week's show. Do us a favor and make sure to like us on Facebook. Trying to get a few more things on the Facebook page. I notice people are interacting with a little more, so I'm going to try and make sure we get more of our photos on there, post a little more to it, and you can also be part of our Facebook group. And follow us on Twitter as usual. And if you haven't, make sure to subscribe so you can keep up to date all the time here with the Under the Ring Report.
This is Mr. Anderson, and you are listening to the Under the Ring Report.
Follow the Under the Ring Report on Twitter at UTRR Podcast. You can subscribe to the Under the Ring Report on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, or visit undertheringreport.com. Thanks for listening to the Under the Ring Report.